Hey guys, I'm Lee from Lee Likes Music, the place to share, explore, and learn about rock music from Bandcamp. And in today's video, we're going to talk about Dead Cross's self-titled debut album, so that's coming up. So Dead Cross is a supergroup made up of Mike Patton on vocals, Justin Pearson on bass, Michael Crane on guitar, and Dame Lombardo, the ex-drummer of Slayer, on drums, of course. All of these musicians have released strings of albums themselves. They have very fruitful careers of their own, but I'm not gonna go too deep into that. So Dead Cross was founded last year. They released one song with Gabe Serbian, the drummer of The Locust and Cattle Decapitation. He was the vocalist in the band, but for some reason he quit or they kicked him out, I'm not sure. Later on, they added Mike Patton on vocals instead. He is famous for Faith No More, his vocals in Faith No More, Tomahawk, Mr. Bungle. He's been a part of so many different projects. I'm having a hard time remembering all of them, but he is a great vocalist. Now let's talk about the record. So Dead Cross is an album with 10 tracks and it takes in on a total runtime of 27 minutes. So it's actually quite short album. If you look up this album on, say, Wikipedia, for example, you'll find that it's labeled mainly as hardcore punk, and that is definitely a genre that nails the music you'll find on here, but you'll also find genres like thrash metal and just heavy metal in general. It's a really heavy album. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the songs that I personally like the most. Let's just start with the first track, Seizure and Desist. The first things that you hear when you put the song on are these static noises from a telephone, it sounds like. Right after that, it kind of rivets itself into this really violent and rampaging environment of a guitar and drum pattern. And right after the intro, you're immediately introduced to the chorus. So it's a really fast-pacing, very, very harsh intro track that really just introduces you and makes up for a great opening track that it kind of sums up what you can expect for the rest of the album as well. One of the things that I really paid attention to when I was listening to this album was Mike Patton's vocals, and I think it's impossible not to listen to his vocals because they're so enticing. He's kind of twisting and turning his voice, always making the track more enticing. He's singing his phrases with this incredible velocity, and he's very famous for having a very vibrant and animated voice to begin with from all of his other efforts, from his other bands, and this is something that he is using in Dead Cross as well. In general, he also just sounds really youthful. I mean, the guy is almost 50 years old now, and he still sings as if he is like a 20 or 30-year-old, and that's pretty incredible to me. My paper is getting wet. It's so like, look at this. It's not even paper anymore. All right, let's get this done before it starts to rain like heck loads of rain. I don't want heck loads of rain. The next track that I want to mention is the third track. It's called Obedience School. What you're immediately introduced to is this thrash metal intense riffing going on the guitar, and there's this double bass action going on the drums. It's super intense. Dave and Michael definitely does a great job here. I've heard several other reviewers who have talked about this album saying how these guys are so underrated when it comes to their place in the music scene, and I can definitely see that. Patton's vocals are sometimes sprinkled on top of the other instruments as this kind of atmospheric layer, but other times he's punching through just as hard as the other instruments are doing as well. So again, he's twisting and churning, and that is something that really adds more versatility to the tracks, and especially this one. This is probably the purest thrash song so far. There are elements of punk and prog here, but like in terms of the riffing, I completely hear like there's Metallica, there's Slayer, there's Megadeth. You hear the resemblances in the way that they're delivering their soundscapes, I guess. Man, I'm getting so distracted. It's so rainy outside. I'm afraid of ruining my camera. When it comes to the lyricism on this album, I don't know if Patton was the one who wrote the lyrics, but the lyrics nonetheless are really dark and sometimes like extremely grotesque. For example, on the next song, Shillelagh, Patton is singing, "My shit smells like the breath of your mom. Swing your stick, boy. Bring it on." Yeah, so it's a very unfiltered lyrical expression here. I hope this video will still be YouTube friendly, although I mentioned that lyricism, that phrase. What can you do, huh? Standing out in the rain. Gotta become a little bit pissed, and you gotta have a little bit of an I don't give a fuck factor in order to be out here in the first place, I guess. Next track, Shillelagh, as I mentioned a little bit now, it's the fourth one, and this is a really fast-pacing punk song, I would say. It's a bit raw and rougher around the edges compared to many of the other songs. I don't know why, but whenever Patton is singing or screaming like Shillelagh, I immediately get reminded of his System of a Down song. I don't know if you guys can resonate with that, but that was the first song, the first thing that popped into my mind, like Serj Tankian could sing this in the System of a Down song. I have to say that Shillelagh was instantly a banger for me. I just love this song. It just resonated with me like immediately when I listened to it. There was just something that I felt was very visceral about it, and again, very grotesque lyrics. Like one of the phrases are like, "I took a pee and it came out red." Good to know, man. Good to know. So now that I mentioned my favorite songs, I just want to sum up what I thought about the album, like in general. Most of the songs here are quite brutal. Like the first four songs, Seizure and Desist, Idiopathic, Obedience School, and Shillelagh, these are straight out like very intense, very raw. It's the same with Graveslave and Future Has Been Cancelled, the 7th and 8th track. These are very, very like out there when it comes to the energy output. Sorry, the energy output. But then you have more atmospheric tracks that focus more on creating more of a subtle atmosphere in the song. Like for example, Bella Lugosi. Gag Reflex, the 9th track, is also an example of another track that is more it is really dark, but at the same time it's not as violent and as fast as the other ones, and I kind of like that. I like that there's a bit of variety on this album because it makes it a bit more exciting to sit and listen to the whole thing. And then you have also these other two tracks that are just super dynamic, that change a lot in terms of the genres and just the soundscape in general. Divine Filth, one of the things that you'll hear on this song is Patton's very animated and very changed up vocal performance. I'd also say Church of Motherfuckers, the last track, is also quite dynamic. It changes a lot. I think it changes rhythm or the tempo at a certain point. So yeah, I really like that. I like that they changed things up a little bit, spiced it up. It was, just to sum up, like at the end, it was super hard for me to digest this album because it is a short album, but there's so many things happening at the same time. So I think you might be better equipped if you have like an intuitive listening mode when you listen to this album. You don't want to like dissect everything like I'm doing. There's definitely a big creative force in this album. I feel like the whole band is kind of remixing ideas. They all have different backgrounds and they're coming together and kind of reshaping their sound. Patton, Pearson, Crane, and Lombardo definitely have this chemistry together when it comes to creating music, which is really surprising. I mean, they all come from somewhat the same background within like metal music and very hard type of rock music, and that might help a lot, but at the same time it's not a lot of supergroups do this well. I also found the lyricism to be quite good. It mixes these storytelling elements with like very ugly absurdities, and you also have like contemporary societal issues here, as you will hear on the last track, Church of Motherfuckers. He's singing about how there's so much child rape going on in churches. Just to get into a serious topic at the end of the album. I don't know why he did that. Maybe Patton or some of the other band members care a lot for this cause. Not that I think that anyone shouldn't care about the cause, but anyways, that's a different topic. Child rape is bad. That's... Man, I can't be serious. I'm standing out in the rain, I'm soaking wet, and my camera is almost broken. So I'm gonna give this album a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you like to learn more about obscure rock music from Bandcamp, then I highly suggest you click the red subscribe button below. Also make sure you hit that bell icon beside the subscribe button, because in that way you'll always get notified when I upload new videos to this beautiful place, this YouTube channel, and this place here in Norway. It's quite rainy. You don't want to be here, but you can watch my videos of me being here and suffer. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope to see you later. Stay tuned. Bye. Why does it have to rain in Norway in fucking summertime, huh?
Why? Why? Tell me.
Cattle decapitation. Hey guys, wanna see some cattle decapitation? Anyways, there's a car that's kind of annoying.